to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome to our meeting. We'll start off with Spotlight on Success. No, we won't. We'll start off with the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to remove the minutes from November 12th just for additional detailing.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay.
And I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Okay,
What you
so
got, Carol?
So what do you have?
November 12th, under new business, item number 1, and I wrote it on a sticky for you, Elaine.
Okay.
It reads now, it simply reads under UCOA review, the committee reviewed the reports presented to them by Mr. Fiore, and I would like to add, Mr. Rurick will report back to the committee on December 2nd with recommendations for devoting additional resources to improving student achievement in math and science. So I make the motion to amend the minutes to reflect
Second.
that change.
All those in favor? Okay.
So I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
Oh, second.
All those in favor? Mr. Rarick?
Yes, the leave of absence, this language arts, Tiverton High School, Stephanie Peacock.
Any correspondence?
None.
Okay, now we'll move on to Spotlight and Success. We'll start with, should we start with the elementary school? So they can get going. Okay, we'll start with the elementary schools, please. Thank you.
We have Julie Simmons, who is now Phyllis first grade teacher, and Elise Myers, who was a student last year. And a lot of teachers in Tiverton have been going through assessment literacy training, which included the use of data notebooks. And so Elise is going to be up there on the screen explaining hers to you.
Thank you.
So just a little background knowledge, the data notebooks is basically allowing the children to collect their own data, graph it, and reflect on it. So it shows them where they are, where they're going, and where they need to be. So it shows them where their benchmark is and where they are at the end of the year in comparison to that. Elise was nice enough to bring it, so you can go ahead and bring it over there and they can take a peek at it. And then we'll show you a little video clip of her explaining it.
Thank you, Elise.
Thank you.
I'm showing you my data notebook. This is the table of contents. So if we don't know what stage we got on, the stickers are on this page. On the first quarter, this is my reading progress. At the first quarter of this, I went to E to G to H to J, and J is our goal that we're supposed to go on, or you could go above. But I got to my goal. This is my Dibbled fluency. I went to 1941 to 68. So that's in the fall, that's in the winter, and that's in the spring. Ames Lab assessment. I went to 6 to 46 to 48. And our goal is 37, and I went above my goal. My 100 fly words. These are all word wall words. We practice them in the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, we do assessments, and sometimes our friends correct it. And if we get something wrong, we learn from our mistakes.
So thank you so much for letting us share that.
Oh,
great,
that is
that's great.
I know I should know this, and I know, but explain to me what Dibbles is again.
Dibbles is an assessment we do that talks a lot about phonemic awareness. So the nonsense word fluency is basically when we give them a consonant, vowel, consonant word, and they have to sound and blend it. But it's nonsense because we want to make sure that they know the letters, that the sounds that the letters make, so they're not doing them by rote. So what they have to do is like words like fav, fav, viv, and they have 1 minute to do as many as they can.
Gotcha, okay.
Any other questions?
We're in the process of doing our budget, and the presentation was outstanding. So we could use some of those graphs and charts.
Yes, Elise was specially picked, I'll
She
be
did a
honest
great
with you,
job.
because
She did
she
a
really
good
knows
job.
how to explain. So
She did a great job explaining.
when we went to the training, Cassie Erkins is from Solution Trees. She's the one that does the training. This is my second year of it this year. And she said, oh, so students can collect their own data? And I was like, I can't even imagine a 5 or 6 year old doing it. She goes, here's a video of a 5-year-old, a kindergartner, sharing their data notebooks. And then I was like, oh, now I have to try it, because now I was really curious to see if they could do it. So the whole class did it. They did an excellent job. And every time they graphed something, they had to share, what's something you notice. The second part of the clip, which you won't see tonight, but when she's sharing, that's her spelling. And so every week they graph their spelling, and she says things like, well, I did really well this week because my brother helped me study. So they were able to reflect and share, like, if a student didn't do well one week but did well the next week, they could say, oh, that was because last week I didn't study as well, so this week I studied more, and that's why I got more right. So they were able to reflect really well, which is a great way to handle it. So.
Oh, thank you both so much for coming. That was wonderful.
Thank you. It's a great book.
Thank you. That's
Elise,
nice.
Thank you.
you can get your book.
Anyone else from elementary, Mr. Eric?
I believe Mrs. Wardell is ill, and she will be talking about her trip with some of the teachers she made at our next meeting for the Blue Ribbon Awards ceremony in Washington, D.C. And that will happen on December 9th.
Middle school then?
Things going on. This week we have Joshua Davis, a penguin trainer from Mystic Aquarium, and he is part of the Bring a Scientist to Your School grant from the Jason Project. And on the same day, we have the Hayfits musicians coming to perform for and with our strings musicians. Last week we had our 7th graders are involved in a Native American History Unit. So they went to the National Tucket Pequot Museum and Research Center, the entire cohort, 150 of them. And before that, our 6th graders went to the Boston Freedom Trail to get ready for Patriot Wax Museum. So I'll tell you about that. And exciting library news. We now have 169 ebooks, and they can be accessed through a phone, no proprietary device or software necessary. An iPad or tablet, computer, anywhere on the fly. So.
Great, and we don't have to add any local shelves or...
Don't you go there.
You don't have to choose out your work.
We decided on that.
Not tonight, Yanni.
Why not?
And then intramural starts next week, floor hockey, and we just finished intramural basketball.
Oh, thank you, that's wonderful. A lot of good things happening. The high school?
We were visited yesterday by the commissioner of Channel 10 and representative from Hasbro. One of our students in career education, Alex Figueredo, had nominated Mr. Fernandez from our career education department for the Golden Apple Award. And lo and behold, Mr. Fernandez won the Golden Apple Award. And they were here yesterday. Mr. Black and Mr. Rurick joined us. And they will be on television acknowledging the career education program, the project with the electric car, the students involved on December 11th.
And I was so happy that it was down in the tech department, because we were able to show the commissioner, and also the teacher of the year was with her. And we showed her them building a boat, and we showed her all the things that are going on down there with the engineering, and then Adam Tracy with the art and how they're all together. So I said, this is full steam ahead for Tiverton High School, because that's the big thing everyone's doing, talking about now, and we've been doing it for years because we never let it go. And I'm really happy that we've always invested in that program. And I said, these things can't be tested or measured on a standardized test. Because I said to the young man building a boat, you're doing a great job with your math. He said, I'm not doing math, Mrs. Black. I said, yes, you are. I said, you can build a boat, I can take a test, but I can't build a boat. So it was a wonderful day, I think, for the high school that they got to see all these programs that we're so proud of. Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Fazette?
No.
Okay. Anyone else have anything for Spotlight on
Just like to add that we
Success?
had our National Honor Society ceremony on the 6th. And that went very well.
It did, it was very nice.
I changed things up a little bit because I guess we got caught in traffic.
But it all worked
Mr.
out.
Lizette did a
We're very
wonderful job
flexible.
as an MC.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything? No? Okay. Facilities Committee update?
Yes, just wanted to brief the committee. While I was out, Mr. Cabral chaired our facilities subcommittee, which Dr. Larkin is on, and we are meeting again tomorrow night. And so far, the committee has prioritized all our health and safety issues, the ones and the twos for the high school and the middle school, and we're going to be looking at the threes and the fours tomorrow night. So hopefully, if we can get it all prioritized, maybe have something for December 9th for the committee to look at. Maybe. Because Dr. Larkin doesn't want to be here the night before Christmas.
No Christmas Eve.
But we'll have something in January.
We'll have
worst case.
something in January.
Sure.
It's just a
That's
matter
fine.
of, because everything, it's just a matter of taking it and putting it into this for you, so you can review that.
Okay.
And for everyone to remember, now that we have that committee, we can get 40% reimbursement.
Well, again, what the next step would be is once we bring the recommendations to the committee, the committee, obviously, is going to take a couple of meetings, I think, to go through everything. Probably we need workshops just to spend talking about that. Once you prioritize that, we'll then bring back the architects and get up to date on the process for filing our stage 1 plan with RIDE, so we can then,
Push that in.
once
Right.
money's expended.
Well, and it'll certainly be interesting, I think, to see where the governor goes, because that has been one of her key
Yes.
programs when she ran, was getting funding for
We should be able
schools,
to-
so that'll be interesting.
We should be able to get the funding once we can identify the funding sources.
Right.
Because they're health and safety issues.
But I think she was
Right,
talking
she
about
wants to go
going above and
beyond,
beyond,
which
so it'll be
it would be.
interesting to keep our eye on that.
Absolutely.
Right, that's right. Okay. Now we have action items. Discussion, possible vote on all-day kindergarten. Mr. Rarick?
Yes, as I mentioned to the committee, we addressed all-day K and the possibility over the last
Long time.
numerous years.
Yeah.
And we always really came down to, at least the last 2 times we looked at it, we were in the middle of budget. I guess crises, for lack of a better word. We were strapped for cash at those times, and we really, even though we all wanted to do it, we really couldn't do it due to our finances. After the principals and I, we talked to our teachers, and it's always something that we supported, and I felt it was an idea to bring back to the committee for your review and your thoughts. I believe, we'll briefly, Amy Donnelly-Roche, our curriculum director, Amy will go through the PowerPoint briefly with you. I'm sure there's nothing in there that we haven't seen, but we do have financing, it's like buying a car at the end, how do we pay for it? And we have a means to explain to the committee how we could offset some of those costs. So I'll turn it over to Amy and then take questions from the committee, and I'm sure there's a lot of interested folks in the audience who might have questions or like to speak to what we have to say.
Thank you. I feel a little bit funny doing this with so much expertise in the room from early childhood folks and elementary teachers. So there's many folks who can speak on this. But briefly, we just want to point out that in Rhode Island, over 70% of kindergarten students do attend full-time. Just recently, Barrington, Portsmouth, Woonsocket, Situate, and Gloucester are moving, or in the process of moving, or have moved to a full-day model. And RIDE is encouraging that. And We know that nationally the standards for kindergarten are on the assumption of a full day instruction for kindergartners. So that makes it a challenge for some of the first grade teachers, kindergarten teachers, and on up. We also know that little ones' brains are more plastic, so there's a lot of cognitive opportunity and flexibility, and I'm sure you each as school committee members are well aware of the benefits of early intervention and early childhood education in general. When talking with the elementary principals, it's very obvious that across all of the schools, we have students in Tiverton who haven't all experienced preschool opportunities or even, best practice or ideal situations in their home. And so kids come in at all different levels. And a lot of students in our kindergartners actually need intervention right away to stay making progress in kindergarten. So we know there are benefits, and I won't belabor that. There's tons of research on the topic, and I cited some here. There's many more studies that really show for all students, not just students who start off with less experience in school or with less opportunities, but all students have long-term longitudinal studies show benefits, and it really raises the ceiling for all kids in terms of the progress they can make and the learning opportunities that they have. So there's some movement I wasn't expecting. And I think I have, enrollment is always changing, but I think that first grade number at capacity is too high. I thought that had changed. But these are the general numbers of where we have students. And it's worth pointing out that some families in Tiverton, like anywhere where there isn't a full day program, do choose private school, and not all of them then choose to return to public
And
school.
I'd just like to point out, the private school number is given to us from RIDE, and they get that from surveying daycare providers. It does not account for Massachusetts because of our uniqueness. So that when you see 17, we're talking Rhode Island, tracking Rhode Island. There could be, I'm sure there's some that go up and forward. But at least that gives us a good idea of what's, that we're not capturing, because of all the
I also wanted to just talk about outcomes for the current program. We know that in the month I've been here, I've been able to see we have amazing educators, and kindergarten, preschool, kindergarten, first grade, all of the educators work really hard. Students are identified quickly when they need intervention or aren't at the benchmark. And we know that currently a good percentage of students, 24% of Tiverton's kindergartners need literacy intervention. A similar number when you look at math intervention. And we know that students are starting first grade with half as much instruction as other first graders across the state, the majority of first graders across the state. It's good to see in first grade that less students need intervention, which shows the intervention programs are effective, but there's still a significant amount of first graders who start off the year needing that additional supplemental support from our interventionists. And I just want to point out that those percentages and numbers do not include students with special education needs. Those are typically developing general education students who need a boost. So we have a sample schedule of what kindergarten looks like, and obviously it varies. Every classroom is different, and sometimes every day of the week is different as teachers try and squeeze in all the things that are expected. And we also have a draft schedule of what a full day kindergarten experience might look like for students. And you can see that it's self-evident and logical that there's more time for instruction
more depth of instruction that can occur. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Fiore in terms of talking about that opportunity to fund.
All right, Doug gave you the keys to the car, so I'll take it. What we did is we pasted the numbers, he's right there to take over, grab the wheel.
It's like driver's training.
That's right. What we do is, as we do with most new positions, and we don't have many that we've been hiring lately, as we talked about in our previous meeting, we use a step 5 with benefits teacher, because we would need 3 additional teachers. If we do this, we would need 3 additional teachers. So the cost of one teacher, step 5 with benefits, is $70,963 at our current rate. We would need the same number of part-time aides that we currently use. In our current model, we would need to increase that to, for every 1 kindergarten class, we have to bring in 2 more part-time aides. So you can see 2 part-time aides cost $16,000.
So there would be 6 of them.
Right, so
AM, PM.
AM and PM
Yep.
at each school.
Yep.
So if we did it at one school, and we did it this way because I know there was some conversation when I was convalescing about the idea of possibly one elementary school. That's what it would cost if you did one. If you do all three, it's $189,991. With state aid, this is the assumption if we went forward with it. If we got it into the budget and the budget passed, we would get $63,207 state aid in year 1. So the actual cost to the district for the program, and this isn't, savings we can achieve to help offset this. This is what the actual cost would be $126,784. Then in year 2, an additional $126,000 in state aid comes in. So in the second year, you're looking at $369
To
pay for it. That would be our state aid number that we get,
And
unless they change the fee.
this state aid has nothing to do with whether we offer full day K or not, it's
No,
just.
it's
enrollment based
that
on
we're
the-
finding it's the enrollment piece.
So
Because
that's-
what they do is they count the halves as ones now. So you now get one as close to a half.
So there is no extra money
No, they don't
allocated
give
for
you-
starting it up even?
There actually is a separate program.
There is a separate grant.
There's some leftover ARA funds that if we let RIDE know that we're interested in going ahead with full day K, we're going to ask for an extension and potentially put in a request for grants that I think is up to $15,000 a year, non-salary, non-personnel related costs, but furniture, other incidental costs
Which
related.
we're gonna, if we wanted to move forward, we'd ask for the extension, but that's the only extra money. And we talked about this in the past, what that grant was. It's for things such as desks.
Startup costs.
Textbooks, whatever your startup costs. It can't be used for salaries.
And we would incur those startup costs? They're just not reflected here?
We would be able to buy additional things that we would, extras. We have wishes. This is our cost.
Okay, so we could run it without additional
Yes, we don't need the
furniture?
grant.
Okay.
To answer your question, yes.
How about art, music, and library for full-day kindergarten students? Would they get those?
Yes. No.
Yes, it would
So-
be within the current staffing.
We don't need additional staffing?
No.
And so how many more classes a week would that be for
It
say,
would be, because there's going to be 2 sections now. There'll be 2 sections of each one of the unified art areas in each building. So
the art teacher would have 2 more art classes to
2
teach
more
a
art
week?
classes
And
at
she
Ranger,
has
2
that
more-
extra room in her schedule now? She's not?
She has room in her schedule because remember, we've lost some bubble classes. We had bubble classes going through and we lost 2 bubble classes at Ranger. Fort Barton did pick up a bubble class because the schedule's going to be tight, but we can't fit that in. The only other concern that we had when we were talking as far as part-time aides, we discussed this with Mr. Urk and Mr. Fiore, the part-time aides, some of that time is going to be the classroom teachers, when they go full-time, when the students go full-time, there's going to be approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours a day where that classroom teacher is going to be alone in that classroom with students, because we're gonna be pulling the aides out for lunch and recess.
So the aides are there from what, start till lunch?
Right,
Recess.
that would be
Yeah.
approximately
And then
from 9 to 11:30.
Currently, right now, the aides are in the classroom about 2.5 hours.
Because the kids would go home.
The kids would go home.
Normally.
So when the kids went home, we picked up the aides for probably a half an hour before the kids left.
Uh-huh.
But the majority of the time, the kids would go home, or the kids would be arrived. The extra time that part-time aides schedule was lunch recess. So they were covering first and second, one aide was covering first and second grade. The aide that comes in at the 11:30 was covering third and fourth. So there was approximately a half hour, there was approximately a half hour time where the classroom teacher was in the classroom by themselves. Sometimes they had a special educator, depending on what section it was. There's going to be about an hour to an hour and a half where the classroom teacher's going to be by themselves as the aides are being pulled for lunch recess duty under this part-time schedule.
So right now, the, Bill, we're gonna try to do it like we're doing it now.
We're just trying to mirror, we would just duplicate what we're doing. And in order to make it work financially, we're trying to just minimize our costs.
Understanding that year two, we may have some,
Yeah, we know we might have to adjust it, but right now, we're gonna, if it works, if it's working right now,
This is how much it costs.
and this is how much it costs, maybe it's a simplistic view of it, but that's really behind the model.
So can we work through this math a little bit?
yeah, I'm not getting the math either.
Okay.
7963
So-
times 3.
Yeah, so let me just kind of.
Look at you, Jerry.
Go what I'm very. And bear in mind, I'm not an accountant.
And you're the only one with the calculator.
I got it, but I'm doing
So-
the same thing, it's not working.
So one teacher costs, well, let me sort of
One teacher
explain
costs
how
$7,000.
I'm understanding this. So one teacher costs around $71,000. Two aides cost $16,000, they cost $16,000 each.
No, that's the total, 2 part-time aides.
So one aide costs $8,000?
Yes.
Okay. So then for a total cost for each school, it's $86,000, right?
And then you get the benefit of not having the midday bus. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
One thing at a time.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
$86,000. And then each school, the midday run costs $22,000.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
for the system, it's $69,000.
Correct.
That's what I was missing.
Yeah, we tried to build in the per school,
Gotcha.
so we can show it that way, and then times 3 schools.
Okay, so that brings it down, total cost per school is 63, then you get to age 189,
Yes.
that I got. And then, in terms of the state aid issue,
Mhm.
so right now, each one of our kindergartners is counted as a half-day student, and therefore the state aid is reflected.
Yes.
So we're basically saying we have twice as many kindergarten.
it's a little more
twice as much
complicated.
kindergarten enrollment, but
That's correct.
the way the formula works, because we're educating the students that amount of time, we're getting more state aid.
Yes, the more kids you have, the more age.
There's also another level to it. Because we're a district that's getting increasing state aid, they don't give it to you all at once. It's being ramped up over the next few years, so we don't get the full benefit next year. They give us a portion of it,
Because they
$63,000.
base it on,
And then we get the full impact of it the following year. That's why
But
it's phased
You're
in.
estimating that we'd get $63,000 more.
Yeah, we've actually,
We've called them.
no, that's our, then you go to the totals now. So we're at roughly 190
So the
total
63,000 is the total state.
So this district would have to come up with $126,000.
in year 1, correct. And then the full effect of the aid comes in year 2.
Next year, when the funding will actually reflect that we're,
That's just how they do the aid. They won't give it to you all at once.
So how many?
so we're sort of, sorry.
Go ahead,
no,
go ahead.
So we're kind of, we're funding this off of cutting off the midday.
That's a big portion of
You don't
funding, correct.
But it's
part.
kids are there all day.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know.
So
But
by
that's really making up the bulk of the district's funding, or the district-derived funding. It's all come through the rest of
Yeah.
the state aid.
Correct.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to figure out how you got to $369, because, that's not that much money.
Count in a second.
not,
and yet we've actually been working with RIDE because they're trying to encourage all the districts to implement this, so they've been very helpful in providing this information. So I did get the state aid numbers directly from them.
So how many full-time kindergarten classrooms would we have if we accommodated, so we'd have 6?
add another in each school.
Okay,
Yes,
so
add one to each.
then do we not have to add 6 additional art, library, and music classes a week?
But we're
What
gonna
am I
add,
missing?
they'll be added to the schedule.
You got it.
Right.
You can cover it.
They'll be added into the existing schedule.
Oh, so each of those special areas can accommodate 6 additional classes a week that they do not currently have. They currently have room in their schedule for 6. So one more than, some days 2, and the other days 1.
Yes.
But that's across the entire system, it's not.
But we have like one elementary, how many elementary art
We have
teachers?
3 gym teachers, 1 art teacher, and 1 music.
One art, one
So,
music.
so the art, the
library.
music,
Library.
and the library are picking up all 6.
Correct. Totally in their schedule throughout the district, they're gonna pick up 6 additional sections.
And that's where I'm saying that we're being very optimistic this first year.
No, they,
I have more concern about the age than I do about the.
our
You
number,
do?
our numbers,
That
assuming the
gap
numbers
is
are
a
the
big
same,
concern.
they work the coverage out.
Okay.
The aid question is something that we
It's
might
the
have
bigger
to
issue.
tweak. And I think, because of our process, this is more of a conceptual conversation for you, because I would like to have it in the budget, and then we can talk further about it, during our budget cycle, but to put it out there now, so when we get the budget, go, why is all vacate sitting in our budget? So that's the purpose of tonight, is to explain the benefits of it and, what the costs are.
So would anybody like to speak? Please come up. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kelly. I'm a Tiverton resident and a mother of 2. My daughter Carly is currently in half-day kindergarten, and I also have a 5-month-old son. I'm pretty much here just in support of full-day kindergarten. I feel it's the best for Tiverton children. So I'm pretty much just retouching what's already been said. One of the most important and major benefits of having a full-day kindergarten, I've only done a little research as of now, so bear with my research. Overall better academic skill development, which includes reading readiness, language development, especially in non-English speaking children, higher standardized testing scores, fewer grade retentions, fewer referrals to special education services, increased attendance, and better socialization and peer relations, which leads to more cooperative behavior. From a teacher's standpoint, full-day K would offer more time for individualized instruction, easier identification of learning difficulties, less hurried lessons for more in-depth and developmentally appropriate instruction, and the ability to meet the high demands of required state learning standards that are designed for a full-day kindergarten, ensuring our students don't enter first grade already behind in learning. A full-day K will provide the children of Tiverton with equal access to learning and opportunities that children have in other communities. It will prevent families of high-achieving students from enrolling their children in private schools that do offer a full-day kindergarten. It will give all students a strong foundation they need and reduce gaps in achievement that impact the learning of everyone in a classroom. I strongly encourage implementing the full-day kindergarten for the 2015-16 school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do I have someone else that wants to speak?
No clapping.
No clapping, please. Thank you.
My name is Pam Kane. I am a kindergarten teacher at Fort Barton School. And I had so many things I wanted to say, but Amy, you took care of all of my facts here. So I guess I'm just asking for your consideration to expand kindergarten to a full-day program. It's been increasingly difficult to teach the newly mandated Common Core curriculum and a half-a-day program, and we are all feeling the stress. We have math that we're doing now, but we're going to have science and reading, and we are just feeling so stressed, and we need the time for these kids. From a content perspective, kindergarten has become the new first grade. It's not as your kindergarten or your parents or your grandparents. It is the new first grade. For children who enter kindergarten without the advantage of a preschool program, the challenge is even more severe. I know this because many of my kids coming into the classroom, they do not know any letters. And Beth Kilborn, we're working on them now, trying to teach them the letters. It's impossible to do any phoneme segmentation, blending letters to make words if they don't know their letters. And we truly need this full-day program. Children in kindergarten, in a full-day kindergarten program are more prepared for first grade than their peers who are in the half-day program, and the gap will undoubtedly increase given the expanded curriculum content and expectations of a newly mandated program. And you talked about that states have expanded full-day kindergarten from 25% in 1979 to 74% in 2012. According to Kids Count, in the 2014-15 school year, 24 of the 36 school districts in Rhode Island provided full-day kindergarten. 3 of the remaining 12 districts received state expansion funds for 2014-15 and may also be implementing full-day kindergarten, which could bring the total to 27 out of 36. And again, I wanted to reiterate that full-day K programs also make significant gains in early reading, math, and social skills as compared with children in half-day. Also reduce retention and remediation rates. In Newport County, full-day kindergarten has been implemented in 5 of the 6 districts. Jamestown, Little Compton, Middletown, Portsmouth, and Newport all have full-day kindergarten. We are the only town in Newport County that does not. As noted in a recent Rhode Island CAN information sheet, an increasing access to full-day kindergarten is a win for kids and Rhode Island. It's time to provide the same educational opportunities and advantages to the children of Tiverton that are already available to the vast majority of children in Newport County, Rhode Island, and the country. And I'm so passionate about this, and I'm hoping you'll consider full-day kindergarten.
And not to date you, but
Right.
how long have you been teaching? Because
I know, I've been teaching kindergarten for 16 years.
And
I have seen such a change. I do not have time to give the children choice.
Mrs. Kane
recess.
had my child, which is why I asked.
I know, and my voice is breaking because I'm so, I'm, the change. Right now, I cannot give my children choice time. I am trying so hard to keep above water with the mandates. And I'm so passionate about this, and I'm hoping that you will consider full-day K.
I know 14 years ago, when my son was in your kindergarten class, I was amazed at the math, reading, and writing you were doing then, and you spoke about not having time to cover that curriculum.
I know.
And that curriculum has probably tripled
It has.
in the last 14 years.
And I can tell you, my car is one of the last cars to leave, and it's dark now, and I think, I'm still here. And I'm trying to get ready. I'm cutting pieces for the math program. I'm thinking about what we're going to do the next day. I'm thinking, how can I give these kids choice time? They say, can I play? They're 5 years old. They need the time. They're babies. So I'm really asking you to consider full-day K.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No clapping, please. No clapping, please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kitsy Vane. I'm a parent. I just wanted to touch base on what Mrs. Kane was saying. My son currently is in Mrs. Kane's class, but also when she was saying that the curriculum changed from 14 years ago to now, I also have a son in 2nd grade, and I can tell you that the difference that my son did 2 years ago in Mrs. Kane's class versus what my son is now doing in kindergarten class is night and day. Math, I would say 2 years ago, my son never brought home any type of math homework. I would practice with my 2nd grader now to count to 100, to count by 10s, to count by 2s. And that was good for him by the end of the day. By the end of the school year. My kindergarten now, we have math homework every single night. And I don't think it's a bad thing. All of the homework that is coming home is definitely appropriate for them, but it is a lot more work, and it's also work that is taking out of time, because I also help volunteer in Mrs. Kane's classroom. And so to go in, and the woman is like a lightning bolt. She goes from like one center, the kids then go to the carpet, and then we go to here, and then we go to here. And it's just to get in the reading, the math, and our kid writing. And to go back on like her kid writing, at this point, we're almost at, like we're at our first quarter, and to teaching kids on how to write, like, their names are fine, but to ask them to, like, write a sentence, I'm still having them look at my mouth and say, okay, F, 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 what sound is that? And half of them are still blank. They still are looking at me, and then whenever they are going to, they're like, oh, I got it. And so then but she should have more time to work with these kids than at the first quarter of still doing letters. But we're focused on math and trying to get the math because the curriculum is so different just even 2 years ago than what my son was in the classroom. I have another son to go through the system, and it would be great to have more time. I feel that I'm blessed that I'm actually can be home most of the time during the day. If I wasn't, I don't know how my kids could keep up in kindergarten. If I was not there to do the missing link. And I know a lot of our kids in our system, their parents aren't there. They're either in a daycare or in there after school, but they're not there to do that missing link because there's a lot of work that they have to do. So I just encourage you to think of that whenever you're looking at the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Teacher first,
Hi, good evening.
It's only, guys, because when we get into that, when you clap for one person and then you have someone who may has a differing opinion, it's very intimidating. So that's why at our meetings, we don't allow
'Cause then they're afraid to
hooting or
come up then.
calling or, of any sort on either side, because we really want people to feel free to express whatever opinion they have to us. So it's not that we don't, we know you're excited, but that's why we do it.
I feel like clapping myself, but I can't. I'll sit on my hands. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Christine Griffith. I teach kindergarten at Ranger. I know that the full-day K conversation has been brought up a couple of times since I've been teaching in Tiverton. I've been here for 13 years, and I'm sure it's been discussed many times before that. Each time it was discussed, it was something that I wanted to happen, and I understand that money was always a huge factor in the decision to continue with the half-day program. But now I feel that full-day kindergarten is no longer just a want. It is a need, because the kindergarten curriculum has changed. It's no longer just learning colors, letters in your names, and simple shapes. By the end of the year, these kids are being asked to read independently at a level C, learn 26 upper and lowercase letters, their corresponding sounds, blend those sounds together to read real and nonsense words. We have 37 word wall words the kids are responsible for learning. We're hoping that they use those words in sentences, hopefully more than 2 sentences when they're doing their writing. They're writing phonetically. They're using a capital letter at the beginning, lowercase letters where appropriate, spaces and periods. As for the math program, Eureka is the program, and it's written for a full day. And so we are struggling to teach it fully. According to the program, each lesson takes 50 minutes. So, of course, if we're doing that each day, something else has to give. Kids are expected to write and recognize numbers from 0 through 20, count to 100 by ones from any given point, skip count to 100 by tens, be fluent with number facts within 5, and have an understanding of number facts within 10, recognize 2D and 3D shapes, measure, compare, sort, work with teen numbers to have an understanding of place value, and understand and do addition and subtraction. And all that doesn't include teaching science, handwriting, social studies, language arts, arts and crafts, which helps them with their fine motor control, or social skills, which are very important in kindergarten. We do the best we can with the time constraints that are in place, but ultimately we are sending our kids on to first grade not fully prepared. And that means the first grade teachers are trying to backfill what we kindergarten teachers didn't have time to teach. It's a constant struggle to fit it all in, and since we do want the best for our kids, I feel that it's important that we give them a full day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't clap.
Good job, everyone.
Hello, my name is...
But wait a minute, as Deb said, I went to a forum not long ago, and everyone was clapping, and then the person with me didn't agree with what they were saying, and they said, I can't go up there now because I'm just afraid. And the next person that went up, they booed them, and that was it. It was just, so that's why we do that. We just want everyone to feel free to come out and say.
Hi, I'm Sherry Alves. I teach first grade at Picasset School. I have been at Picasset for 16 years. I have experienced first and second grade. I am also currently at RIC in the Educational Leadership Program, as you are all aware, because I've approached you before. And I was given an opportunity to write a paper on changing policy. And I chose kindergarten success for Tiverton. So I have a well-documented and research-based 30-page paper that, like Amy's PowerPoint, shows the pros, the cons, the ins and the outs, and I just want to read you part of my executive summary and touch upon what I experienced as the first grade teacher getting the half-day K children. Close your eyes for a moment and go back to the time that you were in kindergarten. Do you remember how quickly the school day went by for you? Do you remember entering first grade as a reader and an independent mathematical thinker? All of our memories may vary, but when we look at our educational goals for our future citizens, differences should not exist. The Tiverton School Department continues to maintain only a half-day kindergarten program at a time in education when the standards are more rigorous than ever. The Common Core state standards were adopted to ensure that all students achieve at high levels and help them learn what they need to know to get to graduation and beyond. A half-day kindergarten does not allow the academic standards to be met and social growth to develop as well within the small period of time. In my classroom, in the first quarter at minimum, I spend at least 30 minutes a day regrouping and talking about social behaviors. So if I could eliminate those 30 minutes of discussing social behaviors, from how to focus and be a good listener to how to maintain getting along socially when sharing and peer editing, that would assist us then in first grade to make sure we are meeting all of the rigorous goals within the Common Core. And I've used the Common Core throughout this paper and stayed away from the Next Generation Science Standards, which I was previously a writer for, which are so intense, and we are about to adopt them, that this should be, this all-day kindergarten process should happen now, because the future is only going to bring higher, more rigorous standards, which will in turn represent Tiverton to be a competitive educational district. And the community would want, you want to evolve and have educated residents. You want children who go off to college to want to come back here and feed your district. So this, I titled my paper, Kindergarten Success, a Simple Choice for Tiverton. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth Kilborn, and I am the reading specialist at Fort Barton. And basically, I agree with what everyone's saying. And I guess the one thing I want to touch upon is, you saw the numbers that Amy so nicely put out. My numbers are huge in kindergarten and in first grade. First grade this year, we have so many kids because the standards are so high now that I basically can only take the bottom tier. So there's other kids who probably could benefit from me, and I can't see them because I can't fit them. My groups would be so high. Kindergarten right now, my numbers are huge, and like what Mrs. Kane was saying, they don't even know their letters. So forget about phonemic awareness. I can't even get to that yet. We're still working on our ABCs. So basically, another point that I want to touch upon is the tiers. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting 5-year-olds who are shutting down because we're throwing so much at them, and they need exposure. They need time. So I'm getting these little kids who are spending, my 20 minutes is all I can have with them, who are crying for 10 of it. So I just feel really bad for the whole situation. We need full-day K with these standards.
So explain to me then, full-day K, you would able to break it up in a little bit better,
exactly.
so it wouldn't be so overwhelming.
Exactly, and I could come in maybe more often. And the aides situation that you're talking about, the kindergarten teachers being alone, well, maybe I could work my schedule where I come in during that time as a pull-in. So that would be even more time.
You have to just so much in that
I
20
do.
minutes, where if you were able to break it up.
I would, or I could have more skills-based groups, so I could reach more children, so I could get to some of these kids who have more of the phonemic awareness and know their letters that I can't service right now in a half day. I could service them, which would make my first grade numbers go down. Do you know what I mean? Because right now it's just like a domino effect with how high my numbers are. So I think I would just have a lot more leeway in kindergarten and in first grade
having them there
with a full day K. Exactly.
Thank you.
And then my other hat is I have a 4-year-old daughter at home. So as a parent, I really would love to see full day K. She needs it. I see her now. She's so into school and education, and
She just needs all day to be exposed to school. She really, really does. Like, I think all of our 4-year-olds out there who are turning 5 need that full day kindergarten experience. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you? I'm Amy Mullen, President of the Tiverton Teachers Union. As far as the art, music, PE, and library, the union doesn't have any concerns about fitting that in the schedule. That will work without any problem whatsoever. The union is fully behind the full-day K, and will work to make it work, because it is something, what my colleagues and parents have all said is, in the past, we've wanted it, now we need it. It's something that's become essential with the changes that have come across in education. It's something that is essential and that we need, and I live in Portsmouth. My daughter's in kindergarten this year. What she comes home being able to know and do is amazing.
They just went to full day, right? Recently?
Yes, they just recently went to full day. And it's amazing what she knows now. She's reading, sentences, words, she's writing. The kindergartners that I work with at Picasset, the kindergartners that I see at Picasset, they haven't had those exposures repeatedly enough yet to be at that point. And it's something that puts us at a disadvantage because we don't have a full day K. And there is a domino effect because we're asking our teachers to teach full day curriculum in a half day. Can't be done. So then first grade has to pick up the slack. So what first grade doesn't get to, second grade does. And so you see the continued domino effect. And a lot of those soft skills, I don't know, the cutting with the scissors, they don't have enough time to do those things in kindergarten. So they get to third grade and they still are not good at using scissors. Their handwriting is not what it should be because there's not enough time to focus on those important basic things because there are so many bigger things that the teachers need to get to. So, the union is fully behind this and will work to make it work.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Anyone else?
Hello. I wasn't planning on speaking. I'm a parent whose child will be going to Fort Barton in the fall. I'm just sitting here listening. Amy, thank you for all your education on the curriculum. My child is a slow to warm up child. By the time she gets there to the time she leaves, I'm afraid she's going to be missing chunks of her education. I'm just asking you to consider, aside from the money, aside from teachers, the children. I'm sorry I'm emotional about it. She's my baby girl. Why can't we be just like the rest of the state? She's in a pre-K program now. She's going to be taking a step back if she goes to a half-day kindergarten. She's in a pre-K program now from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She is learning amazing things. It scares me for her to go from a program like that to a half-day where you're jamming things at her and at all of them. And to even consider thinking that that is a good way to learn. We did it. I did it. Looking back now, the things that they're learning now to what I learned how to color in the lines in kindergarten. I'm not saying that's what it was bad, I'm just saying that's how we learned. Now they're learning math, they're learning science, they're learning how to be respectful to one another, but they're learning it in how many hours? 4? 3? Well, I'm tired from the moment they get on the bus. Because they do learn there, I understand that. It's just I'm passionate about it. These are our children. Do we want them going to first grade and not knowing half the things that they should already know? It scares me. I have a child. I don't want her. I want her to have everything. I want her to have the education she deserves. We live in a wonderful town. Fort Barton is known to be a wonderful school. I'm excited for her to go there. I'm not excited for her to have shortchanged on her education. And I feel like 1 year She's going to miss so much art, music. Why shouldn't my child have art and music? Why shouldn't my child be playing on the playground like she does now? Because she doesn't have time in the day, because she's learning, because they're packing it all in. Well, that's not fair, and I really hope you can consider this. I understand this. I pay Tiverton taxes. I understand where we're at. But I also understand these are our children, and we need to think of them first. And I don't care if there's, I don't know the money aspect, fundraisers, I don't know grants, I don't know. We need to do this. We need to make our children just as good as everyone else in the state, but if not better. We know Fort Barton, we know, I'm sorry, the other schools too. It's a great school. Why can't we give that to our 5-year-olds?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. It's us. Committee? Dr. Larkin, would you like to say anything?
No, I guess I agree with everything everyone has said. My understanding of educational literature, and I'm not an educator or an accountant, is that the most robust research actually does support full day K as probably the biggest bang for your buck throughout the throughout the entire school, from up until graduation. So I'm a strong supporter of it.
Yanni?
No, I'm all for it.
Carol?
Well, go ahead.
It's a good value for the money.
I think there's no question that it's best for our students. As I listened, we all know how much stress little kids are under at age 5, and it's double the stress for our kids because we're trying to take a very demanding curriculum that would be stressful for a full day K. And now those kids are trying to cover it in a half day, which isn't fair. So I certainly would be in favor of trying our best to work this into our budget as we begin the process.
Yeah.
I just want to say that, Superintendent Rierick is right, that we've been having this conversation 6-7 years, before I was even on this committee. And we all want every year what's best for our kids, but we have 1,800 kids. And that's a difficult balance. We want everything for every single one of them from the minute they step into kindergarten till the day they graduate as seniors. It's a difficult balance. We've had to balance that every year. I think we were hopeful in prior years that the General Assembly was going to come through with funds. I think we sort of gave up on that last year. And I think the biggest thing is, whoever said it, it's no longer a want, it's a need, and we just can't keep. We're at a point now where we can't keep waiting for the General Assembly. We can't, that it has to be a priority, and I too will support it. So I think we have a consensus that.
Well, yeah, but I'd just like to say that my children started here in 1980, and they went all through. I was in full day K in my school, and I know what I learned there, and I remember doing the Palmer method, or doing my exercises with my hands so I could do and everyone still talks about my cursive writing. And the other day I took care of him, and I said, what do you want to do today? He said, will you teach us to write cursive? It was just my grandchildren. It was amazing. I have one in 2nd grade, 2 in 2nd grade, and one in the middle school. And I've seen a change from when they've started to now. They all love math. Since they were little, we used to play games in the car. Now they absolutely hate it. The one in 2nd grade said, it's causing me such confusion, Shani. And my heart was broken. I said, this is not right, so what's going on with everything else? So then I looked into the numbers, because we're going to have to go to the town, everybody that's here, please remember, and defend this, and we're going to have to go when the budget's voted on. And so I looked at the numbers, and 32 cities and towns lost population. And here's the map. And Tiverton's one of the few that gained population in the last census, 550 people. Going outwards, they did the census to 2040 again. We're one of the only ones that seem to be growing. So that's a good thing, because we can't make a decision here if we're stuck and we're going backwards like some of the towns are. I started my career in Head Start in Fall River, Mass. Best program ever. And I know what early childhood education means. I know the kids that came into my classroom, I gave them a book and they tore it up because they had never seen one before. And then by the time they went into kindergarten, they were ready. And so we need this, you've all said it, the committee is behind you, but you have to get behind us, please, when the budget comes out. Okay, that's what I have to say, thank you. And thank you guys for doing such a great job with the numbers.
It's just not.
Do you want a
numbers,
formal
it's-
motion, Bill, or consensus?
I
is
think
fine?
the consensus is fine. It's such an important item. It will be really the centerpiece, I think, of the budget. Because it will be a new item in the budget. I know at our last meeting, we were talking about, reallocation of funds. That's different because it doesn't change the bottom line, even though there's an impact somewhere within the district. This will be the centerpiece because this will be a big ask. This is going to be a big ask that we're going to be requesting from the budget committee. And even though with the new process, hopefully we can come to agreement with the budget committee. But in the end, it still has to be voted on, as Mrs. Black said, by the public. So everyone who's here, tell your friends who support this. This is just it's a very important first step. And the feedback was very important to us and very powerful. But it's just the first step in a long process to get this through. Because as passionate as you folks are about this, there could be resistance to us spending the additional money. So please, stay with us throughout the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.
Now we have the virtual high school proposal.
The next item, again, is also something that we've talked about in the past, specifically about offering additional advanced placement courses for our students, and also to try to help alleviate scheduling conflicts with our students that are in their senior year. And, talking with Steve and Amy, we, again, and prior to that, Diane, Sano and Diane was with us. We've talked about trying to offer online courses at the high school. And this presentation is just a kind of a brief overview, just to give you some background. Steve, Amy, and I have looked into the different kinds of companies that offer online programming. We're going to be talking about VHS, Virtual High School program, for the purpose of conversation, and then kind of do what we just did, get your input on it, and see if we would like to proceed forward. Amy, you want to take us from there?
So we did look at several options, and as you mentioned earlier, with increasing population, there's been a slight increase at the high school.
This year projected for next year.
Right. In enrollment, and so looking at that, looking at the opportunities to expand at advanced placement course opportunities and expand elective opportunities, we did look at several options. And like any small school with high achieving students and a range of options, we really wanted something that would expand the course handbook, expand opportunities, and ensure that we were doing things well. We were not looking for anything that would be an alternate learning program, or that would be a remedial opportunity. There are different programs out there with different bents. Some are credit recovery in nature. We weren't looking for drill and practice. We're looking for the full gamut of a well-instructed course. And the virtual high school really is the one that we're recommending. And we'd like to explore. It's used nationally in over 700 districts. It's well accredited. It's got a high rate of success for students. And It's also one that is NCAA approved. Not all of them are. It's approved for the Running Start programs at the community colleges and at Johnson and Wales University, and it really helps students start college opportunity, start college ahead of the game. So they've got great.
And I'd just like, I'm
great
sorry,
stats.
I'd just like to point out the last bullet. Because we are a small school, we're limited in the number of courses we can offer. The virtual high school, the online learning would allow a student to take a course that we currently don't offer. And you can see on the last bullet the statistics show that this program, students, this is, the student has to do the work themselves, online. So these types of students are highly motivated. But for the AP scores, one of our areas that we were looking to improve on, and this isn't to replace what we do. This, what we're talking about are additional courses. And if Amy, we've got a couple slides, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but it's important to note that as far as the, how well the kids do who participate in this program. So here's a list of the schools that currently use it. My daughter currently takes, she's at Portsmouth High School right now. She doesn't take any AP courses, but she takes international business marketing because they don't offer that through their regular course of studies, but you can take it online. So she likes it very much. It's very demanding for her, but speaking from my own experience with it, it's really a challenging program for students who do participate. And the next slide, Amy, if you can just, when Steve and I and Amy talked when I got back from my injury, Steve met with his department heads. We looked at the course offerings that, and they have a vast array of courses that you can take. We wanted to, if we move forward with this, start in a very small step offer for AP courses, and then we talked about, I said, well, what AP courses will we offer that we don't offer now? Steve met with the department heads, and these are just, this isn't, we're not etched in stone, but this is just some of the recommendations that came back that we would like to offer, if we went in this direction, that our students could take, because we don't offer these currently, at the high school.
Another thing I want to point out is that these courses are really for self-directed, self-starter kind of students. So we did talk about wanting to hand select students and have guidance very involved in that. Obviously, if we can teach the course and are teaching the course currently live,
If you go to that,
we want to continue that, but to add.
yeah, just go to that slide and just click up, and I think it's the next one that addresses that. This is, again, this is for students who are motivated, who want to take this. This isn't someone who said, well, I just want to take it. The guidance counselors, and the reason why we talk about guidance counsel recommendations, at least initially, and I'll just speak to my daughter. My daughter had to get recommended by her counselor to take it. In other words, when they were going over a course of studies for this year as a junior, and, they said, Abby, what do you want to do? And this is what she said. And then she said she'd also like to take that because it's offered, but she couldn't take it without the recommendation of the counselor. So, at least initially, what our best thinking is that students who would say, I'd like to take AP Computer Science, they're strong in that area, they got an aptitude for it, we would then say, okay, we recommend it, because this isn't free. It costs money, as everything does, for students to participate in the program. So we need to be, at least initially, very selective, if we were to go this route, with which students would be, that we would choose. And also, again, and I think Deb Cooper did it when he was a senior, he had to take a course at BCC, right? This could also serve that purpose as well. We talked about AP, but for that senior who needs that advanced math class, or something that we don't currently offer because it's a conflict in the schedule, for those seniors that need the credits to graduate, this program, I think, really would hit on those points.
Or if we don't have.
Or that we don't have, but it's specifically that we don't have as well. And I think that takes us to the last, our recommendation to the committee, if we were to proceed, again, would be to start small, gain success, learn from our experiences, and then eventually expand it out. So hopefully, within a couple of years, that our juniors and seniors could take courses that we don't offer right now. Because if you, right now, it's $1,000 per seat. That is $1,000 for every child to take the course. So if you offer it, you know, there's an expense associated with it for our students. So that's why, if we did do it, we'd have to have a rigorous, and we don't have anything in place, we'd have to develop it, a rigorous process by which students would be able to take it, because it does cost us quite a bit of money. And if you expand it, if you get a teacher to teach a course, you get 25 free seats. So if you get a teacher to teach an online course, they then give you 25 free ones. So there wouldn't be any cost. So that's even a possibility. We might be able to do that.
So if you had someone who wanted to teach AP Physics, but there was only one student here that wanted to take AP Physics, the teacher could teach it online with our student here.
Well,
and
we
get
would
25.
Well, if we had
or something like that?
well, let's say if we have a teacher who teaches any AP online course, if we work with them, that means the person who teaches one less class, but because they'd be teaching us online, doing all the work, then we would get 25 seats.
For any class.
For any class.
But
You get
that's not what
25
you're
free.
recommending now.
I don't think we have enough. And that, we would if we could expand it.
Right, 'cause it's like
Portsmouth has a
adding
teacher
staff.
dedicated, like my daughter can go to a teacher, if she's having trouble either with the program or whatever, she can actually go to a person in Portsmouth and say, Mrs. Smith, I'm having trouble uploading my materials, you know, and there's someone that will come, and then he talks to all the teachers, all the online teachers. They're a little more advanced than we are.
I think from what I understand, is if we get to that level, we would not be able to teach our kids.
Right, they would
that
teach
online
someone else.
course. Our instructor would be teaching globally. Our kids would have the opportunity, the same opportunity, to be instructed globally by someone else. You can't have an AP teacher. There'd probably be a conflict of interest or too much in-house potential for help.
So what we're proposing is there would be some other global teacher somewhere.
Right, what we're proposing is that
Just to
I would
start
come to you,
small, for finite
I would
numbers.
probably put in the budget approximately $10,000, 10 seats. And tonight, if you agree on the concept, Steve will come back, we'll meet with Steve and Amy, and we'll come up with the criteria for your approval, so we could have it for next year in place come September. But, you know, we're projecting probably around $10,000, total cost.
There was a bullet that said there's local DHS support.
I'll take that.
That would be, if you, we're discussing really the first initial step,
Yes.
to see how many kids are interested, how it works. It would be monitored very much individualized by the guidance counselor. If we started to get, say, over 8 students, DHS recommends that you have a site-based coordinator trained by them. And it's not an
One of our
extensive.
teachers.
Yeah, and it could
We
be
would-
utilized
Dedicated
as a
to
duty,
sponsors.
or it could be sometimes a small stipend. That's what other schools do.
Don't use that word.
That's what other schools do.
They are a
Stipend, not what other
Massachusetts company,
schools
so they are relatively local, and they are happy to come. They generally, as a international company, do webinars, but because we're local, they're happy to come in person and do trainings. And there is a live teacher at the other end, of course, so they actually do updates weekly to guidance. And similar to our parent portal, the guidance counselors can go out
Yes, I
Oh,
and
get,
check grades.
right, because grades are sent.
And there's some teacher somewhere that you
Yes.
can actually
And
communicate.
my daughter communicates with a teacher online
Who grades
for the international marketing, and who grades her on the worksheet.
But it's not necessarily real time, because the whole
No,
point
no,
is
no,
it's
no.
independent
No, it's
study and they can
independent,
do
right, no,
whatever.
it's not.
So they'd have to email
Yes,
that
you have to
teacher.
email them.
They're
you get the
watching
work back.
something.
It's all, you know, it's not a webinar.
Right.
Where someone's talking
Right.
to you. It's, you know, here's the work, do it, submit it, grade it, and you have those kind of exchanges. So,
Do we ever have actual communications instead of web-based communication? I mean, they actually.
I think it's all, the courses I take, it's.
I think it's all email.
It's all
Most of
email.
it's all email.
I know we've also been exposed to Edgenuity. Our guidance department and Mrs. Larson and myself met with a representative there. They have, all of it is videoed ahead of time, and the kids can replay lessons from the instructors, and that's a very good program also, but this one seems a little bit more doable to get started with. Edgenuity also could be used for summer school. Right now, we use Keystone Recovery for credit recovery and for summer school courses. We've been using that now for about 3 or 4 years, and that's been very successful for the kids that are in need of that area. This isn't obviously on the other end of the spectrum right now.
The online courses are much more sophisticated than just exchanging emails.
I just use that as a means of
There are
communication.
discussion boards where you can post
Yes.
things, where people can respond, and you can exchange documents, you can exchange drafts, drawings, whatever it is, so.
Yes. Yeah, you're communicating with the other students in the class based
There are
on
opportunities
just
to-
postings,
Right.
your work gets
A
posted.
forum.
There are opportunities for real-time discussions. We can have that. And it's all by instructor, how they understand.
I had a couple questions. It says that VHS has an 81% course completion rate. Is that for AP classes or for all of their classes?
I believe that's because they often have.
So I would be interested in knowing what their course completion rate was for AP courses. And so how many of their students who begin an AP course end up taking the AP exam? Because that would certainly affect your, your score for your AP
Yeah, they
exam.
also have
If half the kids start in AP, and then, remember when we didn't require them to take the exam?
Right.
If half your kids aren't taking the exam, then that might artificially boost their passage rates for the AP.
But also, our criteria would be the same if you take it online.
Right, then, yeah, we would, but I'm talking,
Right,
I'm,
what theirs- what
In
theirs
order
is.
to get some
right,
perspective
to-
of
on,
them.
That's a
because,
good point.
because this is fabulous, 81% course completion, and they're saying their average pass
It's 68
is
versus
60.
But you're right.
60%.
Is it 10 started and only 2 took it, and those 2 did really well? So, yeah, it skews
We
the
can
numbers.
ask that question. We've got a pretty good communicator,
I just
a customer
want,
representative.
for the purpose of tonight, is this something that if we put in the budget, we could talk further about? In other words, I just want direction, because I would like to have this in the budget for us to discuss, and we can fine tune it, with those types of questions, and I'd like to try to start moving forward with it, because there's planning that we would have to do. whether it's
I do
VHS
have
or another.
just 2 more questions, if that's
Yeah,
all
no,
right
no,
to this
no,
evening.
I didn't mean to-
In terms of what we offer, why would we not leave the course choice up to the students each year, as opposed to saying you can pick from AP Computer Science,
We can
Econ?
do that. We can definitely do that. We just wanted to show you what a sampling of some of the alternative. There's a few others. To be honest with you, we already offer quite a few ourselves here at the high school, but, the kids could also pick from environmental science, European history, French, there's a few others.
We wouldn't
Right,
limit it.
so-
We
right,
wouldn't
so-
limit it to that.
right.
We're just saying that those are some of, those are the courses, that's a sample of what we don't offer. There's others that we also don't offer.
Yeah, we also got feedback from the department heads on what they thought the kids might be more geared to.
Now, don't we already offer a college-level physics class with
Yep.
credit from Rick? So,
It's credit for URI and Rick, yes.
No, we don't. Well, we do, but this course counts for nothing. This course, if you will try to go to any kind of science program, engineering program, this course is basically treated as a free elective.
but URI or Rick will give you credit for the
URI will
course?
also not give you science credit for that course. You will get course for, let us assume that you are going to be fine arts major, English major, you have to take some general education science course.
Oh, it'll
And then
count
it
for
will
that.
count.
Course will
For
count,
that.
Okay.
but not for anyone who is in hardcore science, physics, chemistry, any engineering, computer science. This course is just a free elective.
So the EEP course is really good for people who aren't going into
Yes.
those.
Yeah,
Correct.
we have those in English and Portuguese as well.
Right.
At the same time, students who are going to engineering programs from other high schools, they come with very strong physics, chemistry, biology,
Right,
with
they do.
AP
Right.
credits from these.
Yeah.
And so the AP credit is worth more?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely.
Oh, it's a completely different species.
And so this is what I'm left with. If their average pass rate is 60% on the AP exam, why would we not have our students take AP Chem through this program because we had a 0% pass rate, and they're telling us they have a 60% pass rate, or any other of our very low AP US History, we had an 18% pass rate. Why wouldn't we switch to the online?
Because of the cost, because for US History, you have 25 kids.
But if no one is passing.
No,
But if no one's
I'm
passing,
saying-
right.
But you still have a cost issue. If you wanted 25 students to take it, you need $25,000.
Yeah, I think that's a question that we might ask.
Or AP Calc, where we had,
It's a dollar, it's.
Return on your investment.
Absolutely. I mean, the answer is, there is nothing. That for an AP Chem, for example, you could say, we'll just offer it online, through an online course, if that's the direction you want it. The idea for this, or at least in our concept, is to offer courses that we don't have any expertise in, because you need to be certified in the science, in science, you need to be certified in physics, you need to be certified in chem. You need that expertise that we don't have, because remember, one of the things I talked about with AP scores is that you need the person not only to have the desire to teach it, but they have to have it up here too. You need the person that's skilled to teach it. I mean, highly skilled to teach it. And we might not have people whose expertise is statistics or computer science to that degree. And so that was our thinking on it. That doesn't say you can't do it, it's just we weren't thinking that way.
Yeah, I think to your point, Carol, I think that's a very good question, and one that we might want to ask ourselves as we get experience with this program, but it seems like a little bit,
well,
we have to sort of see how this goes.
I was going to request that we contact the other member schools. We got a long list in Rhode Island who have courses from VHS, and ask them what their AP pass rate was for the different classes. So, they maybe they'll tell us they had 3 students take AP Chem and they all passed, or they had 3 students take and no one passed.
In-house AP pass rates?
No.
Or just virtual?
Just for these
the
virtual
VHS.
courses.
Okay.
For those students that took VHS AP.
So how successful are Rhode Island students?
They're stating that's their pass rate, but.
Well, so how are Rhode Island students who are taking AP courses through VHS,
And again,
what are their scores?
I think one of the things that these courses are selecting for very motivated students who have an interest,
Oh, very.
strong interest.
But
in
it's
that.
also for students who don't need the teacher.
Right.
That's a very
Because
select
that's a
group.
real select group, because you can be in an AP course, but you still need that teacher to facilitate that learning experience. Because otherwise, we just have computers and everybody you'd be looking at a square all day. If you need, it's a real select group of folks that can sit there and
Day
do
after
it.
day
after
and
day
look at a
do
computer
it,
screen.
And do it to the high level that Jan and that we've talked about. It's really challenging work that the kids have to do, and it does. And my daughter doesn't like it because it takes up her Saturday and Sunday time. But
So
that's too bad. That's the work you got to do to get
I'd be curious too, if we're going to ask what their AP pass rate, what percentage of their students actually do this?
Yeah.
Just to give us a sense.
mean the number
Like,
of-
is that where you got the 6 to 8 from?
We did actually reach out, it's a great point, we did reach out to several high schools.
Is
and
that where you
spoke
got
with
the 6 to 8
guidance
from?
counselors. Other schools our size recommended that small number to start.
Okay.
And so did the representative.
Just because it is such
Yeah.
a small group.
My concern about, and don't get me wrong, I want all of our students to get a college passing score. My concern is that we recruit people. We try to get the best people possible to start new programs. We have them trained, and they have as much support as we can give them. But it's year one. If we do one and done with some of these teachers and courses, I'm not going to be able to recruit anybody.
You mean the internal?
Yeah, you're going to have to remember, we're dealing with faculty that are making a switch, a huge switch in their instructional schedule. A lot of these faculty are wearing other hats. They're advisors, they participate in other committees. I'm really concerned that if we just simply say, you only had 3 kids pass 1 year, sorry, we're going to go to an online course. I think we need to, I'd like to rethink it. Otherwise,
that's
I'm not going to be able to recruit.
Right.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not expecting to hear that there were a lot of kids in Rhode Island who took AP Chem through a virtual high school and got a passing score. Because I think it's a tough course to do, we know, with an instructor.
I think
it becomes even more
To be
difficult
honest with you, anything needs a couple of
online.
years. If it continues to not produce, I certainly understand.
But I do want to know what kind of scores the students in Rhode Island are getting with
Just
these
in general,
online
on the one.
AP classes. And I would like to know what classes, because it could be that students are more successful in certain subject areas in an online course than in others.
We could find that out.
And so we
different.
might want to steer students who aren't sure what they want to take toward the course. We can say, well, you know, other students in Rhode Island had much more success with this AP class online than with this other one.
And I have to, my only concern, because I think this will be a nice addition, I can absolutely see where, you know, kids, you know, select kids, but, you know, this would be a benefit. My only concern is actually what Steve was speaking to. I'm concerned that we're starting another initiative when we're still getting our in-house AP scores sort of under control. We still aren't happy with the pass rate there. We still aren't necessarily happy with the participation, and I just don't want to see any focus or effort lost from that.
Well, and I think
That's my only.
And I agree, and I think that's why our proposal is a very limited,
Outside of what we're doing.
approach, because when Amy starts contacting the schools, we're going to be strictly looking at AP right now. We're not going to be looking at, like Portsmouth, my daughter's, it's not an AP class, but she gets credit for it.
Right.
That's different. I mean,
Yes.
and again, and I agree with Steve, we want to give our teachers, especially the new to it, an opportunity to understand.
move ahead
Because
with it, yeah.
obviously, my first year teaching AP was not as successful as I was in my fifth year, my last year that I taught it. It's like anything else, your skill set should improve.
And really, that was my concern. is
Right.
I want to make
And
sure
no,
that
that's not gonna
those
go away.
teachers are still being
Oh,
supported,
absolutely.
and we, you know, because
And-
they do have to learn.
And we still, and again, those courses, those samples we offered, we've never offered AP computer science. We've never offered AP economics, so it's a real tight
Yeah.
group that we'd be looking at, but we certainly can get that in.
And I wouldn't want to say, I mean, I know what you're saying, but I would want to keep that in-house complement.
Absolutely.
For those kids who, I mean,
I agree.
quite frankly, we have a lot of kids who like the teacher.
Right, that's
Oh,
right.
there's a large
Right.
social element to learning.
So I would,
For most of us.
6 AP classes,
8.
whatever, 5 that we offer, I wouldn't want to see us
No, we wouldn't. We're
going
not
backwards on
talking
those,
about
because
And
there are,
I think there's some kids in our school that are receiving an opportunity that aren't going to have a financial ability outside of what might possibly be offered here to be enrolled in AP. And some of the kids are actually challenging themselves and they're not being recommended for the AP course. They're overriding the recommendation of maybe an honors or a prep placement. So those kids who are making that effort really wouldn't have that opportunity in any other way. We don't have entrance exams into our AP courses. It's an opportunity for any student that wants to challenge themselves.
Whereas, in essence, there is going to be an entrance
Well, it's an
requirement
economic
to
entrance
take,
exam on
to
those.
take these, because you won't be able to, is that correct? You won't be able to override the guidance counselor's
I'm not
recommendation for
saying
this?
that. I'm
We don't
just-
have the- no, that's
We
not
don't
my
have the
point.
criteria yet. In other words, we're going to have a criteria. In other words, when the program of studies comes out, they're not going to see online AP
X, Y, or Z.
computer science.
Yeah.
That's not, we're not, we may all decide to show, we may not, we haven't gotten that far in our thinking.
Okay.
The thinking would be, if we have that student who's a real top flight math, science, and they want to take an additional course, or they can't take something because their current schedule doesn't allow for it, because it's a conflict internally, that's when this would come in. So the guidance counselors, when we talk about a criteria, the guidance counselor would be the person best suited, to help make that decision with the parents of the child, along with Steve and
so
Mrs.
it's kind of
Nichols.
like the guiding decisions, when they guide decisions to who should be taking a dual enrollment, or
Yes.
who might
it's
be
the
doing
same
it.
thing.
Similar,
Yeah.
similar idea, yeah.
And it just gives another opportunity for
And
it.
I'm not asking, I just want to kind of move forward with it.
Yeah.
So if you see it
And
in
then
the
we'll
budget,
see.
you'll understand. It doesn't mean it will make it because of our budget issues, and we'll certainly get that other additional information.
We're always super positive right at the beginning.
It's just, what little I do?
I think this is extremely critical because a lot of kids here do not have access to these type of courses because of scale. We will never have
That's correct.
AP courses in some subjects.
Right.
sending these kids to another place to do this, or basically doing dual enrollment does not work very well either, because sometimes the class is taught at the time when this will basically void 3 periods here in the school. And even for the best students, they cannot say, well, let me just skip twice or 3 times a week, 3 periods here to take physics at BCC or somewhere else. So I think in these type of situations, and if we want students to go to these hard disciplines, we have to give them the opportunities to actually do that.
Makes sense. It's true. When I looked at the NEASC, and it said in here, Mr. Fazette, remember about the technology, how we have to beef up our technology.
Actually, that is an item that we're going to have to address
Yeah,
in our
and then
two-year
the
report, so this could be
strategic
timely.
plan also has it in there, so it's an opportunity for us to move
We
ahead.
dealt with both spectrums.
I know, I love
Very
it.
beginning.
See that?
all
Okay.
they came.
I love
All
that.
the way to junior and senior.
That's wonderful. And every year I asked, why can't we have it? And we said, we don't have capacity. Now we have the capacity, thanks to Mr. Al Toriano and all his hard work. So this is good. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so
Just,
Vote on that?
no, I
Just
just,
the
we didn't
consensus.
see idea.
any reports or announcements?
Just before, it's kind of under announcements. At our next meeting, we just didn't have enough time, because I'm playing catch-up myself. We'll have a presentation, I know you're excited about it. Another new idea moving forward is digital literacy at the elementary level.
And that's at December
We'll be doing that on the
2nd?
We'll do that on the 9th. The 2nd, we're going to be talking about reallocation.
Oh, the UCOA stuff.
Right, the UCOA.
Okay, well, but you
So-
can throw that on there. I mean, it's budget.
Yeah.
But wait till the 9th.
I think the 9th, because I think,
And-
even though it's all one thing, I think it's easier to take it in chunks.
All right.
And that will be, the 9th will be our last
That will-
December meeting?
unless-
Our last 2014 meeting?
Unless someone wants
Well,
to meet
unless
at
we have to
14
meet
with
again.
Mr. Dr. Larkin.
Dr. Larkin's going.
Did I say something?
We did last meeting.
Carol?
We can meet without Dr. Lincoln.
Not on the 24th.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter under SS 42465A2, to discuss superintendent's goals/evaluation under SS 42-46-5A2, and to receive legal advice regarding the state pension litigation under SS 42-46